Someone better take this quote and run with it because someone needs to hear this.
I'm thinking if my missus is gonna watch this because I don't want her to know that I'm doing it from the book. I'll give you one.
I thought you, is it Denzel or I can't remember the meme where it's like you. I don't want to swear, but you, damn right, you. Welcome back to another episode of TY FFLY book reviews. I go by Ty.
Yes, I go by Mr. Fly with 2 S.
Mr. Fly is going to kickstart us off today with our book of the month. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so this month we read Think Like a Monk by Shetty. Don't know, it was Tyler, so Tyler got it as a gift and obviously recommended to read it. And I guess we're gonna get straight into it, man. I mean, what was your top parts of the book?
Do you know what? To get started talking about the book, I really enjoyed it. Like, you know, when you meet a person, yeah, and you're like, that person's lovely. That person's a nice person. You know, you just know it's just good energy. It's just, you know, you might not be best of friends. You might not, you know, click on certain levels, but you just think that person's a nice person. And that's what I kind of felt about the book. I just thought, this is a lovely read. You know, this is lovely. I mean, there were lots of nice parts within it. But my overall impression of the book was that it was just lovely. We'll probably get into each part.
I was thinking that because like there's so much in this book, that it's like I think it's even impossible to do. There's so much. Even as I was reading through my notes yesterday, and as I was reading the book, I was like, there's so many gems in here. There's so much. There's the kind of stance of the book, the mindset of it, the general tone of the book and the way it's written. I was like, this is a book that I think everyone should read. I was saying that to my friends. I was like, listen, I say this all the time. I'll be like, oh, it's a good book. She's like, yeah, cool. I said, no. I said, this one, there's things in this book that you'll really appreciate, you'll really like.
Yeah.
But, you know, even I think his story as well, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's an interesting story. It's a film. It's a book. They could actually make a film about his life, like if they wanted to. Do you know what I mean? You know, he's coming up from obviously, you know, loving it, living in London, and then going to India to become a monk. So maybe a bit of background about him actually. So Jay Shetty, he's obviously raised in London. Then he was working the job. I think he was doing quite well after his studies, and then he became a monk for 3 years. I've missed a lot out, but that's pretty much that's pretty much the monk. Do you want to put some meat on those bones, T?
I mean, I think part of it as well, because he's from an Asian background, and in Asian culture, you know, his parents, you know, wanted him to pursue other careers, and you know, he really went against the grain to become a monk. You know, his family weren't happy about it. In the end, they supported him, but you know, he wasn't following the traditional path. But through that journey, he learned so much, and he shared a lot of that with us in his book. I mean, I wrote loads of quotes down throughout the book because there were so many nice quotes in there that were like, okay, let me write this down because this is just nice. And like I said about the book being lovely, and that's how I felt about the quotes. I don't know if you have any quotes that you've taken
loads,
down.
Mate.
Got loads.
Yeah, I got loads. I was like, you know, you're thinking like, okay, for the office, I'm gonna get this one typed up with like a picture of someone jumping out, you know, like a parachute or something like that, like some sort of inspirational thing. But yeah, no, lovely. I think the one I started off, the first note I wrote, so that must have hit me because I was quite into the book because I tried to minimize when I'm writing notes because there's a lot to go through. The only way to build a meaningful life is to filter out the noise and look within. You know what I mean? So with that, I mean, it's quite self-explanatory. And I think it's something that you can relate to. This book as well, I don't feel like it's just a nice book for whatever you're trying to do. It's not about business or success or money or whatever. It's more about, he talks about it, what does he call it? Your Dharma.
Yeah Dharma or Varna?
Dharma. So I've got here. Might be Varama. I think you're right. Spell check.
Yeah.
But your life calling, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that is what led him to make the choices that he made and to do what he did, obviously, you know, from the pressure from his parents to to be staying here and going against the grain. And that's something obviously you can relate to if you're trying to achieve something. And it relates to many different parts of what you're trying to do, you know, life-wise, you know, because you've got your family life, you've got your personal life, you've got social life, so yeah, man. So that anyway,
he talks about there's lots of different sections within the book, and one of the things was identity, about your own personal identity. And one of the quotes that hit me was, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. And let me say that again, just for the viewers to take that in. So I'm not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. So we're all thinking, you know, I'm thinking, oh, how do you perceive me? That's how I see myself, how you perceive me, or how someone else perceives me, or and I thought that was quite an interesting quote, you know, about identity. I don't know if you wrote anything from the identity section.
Not from that part.
But our identity is wrapped in what we think others think of us, as opposed to what we think of ourselves. Our identity is wrapped up in what we think others think of us. And I thought, that's kind of true, you know? Our identity is based on...
It's a weird one, because it's like, but it depends on how much you allow that to impact you, I guess. You know, like how much, like you said, it's kind of you believing what the other person's perception of you is. But then what does that then lead you to do? And how does that then lead you to behave? And what choices are you going to make based around that? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, there's so many different, the chapters or the sections of the book that got me, there was a lot. But the ones that really kind of spoke to me were the one about ego and about gratitude. You know, and I was talking about this yesterday with the ego, like with my fiance, and I think I even mentioned it to my brother as well. Like the ego, that it's like a double-edged sword. Yeah. And he says that in here, and he's like, I'll find the quote, but he said something like, the ego will tell you you're either great or terrible. That was it. And like neither of them are actually true. So it's like your ego is either like, oh, you're so great, you're amazing, or I'm terrible at this. This is like, I'm really bad, X, Y, Z. And neither of them are actually true in all situations. But, you know, the ego wants to be perceived as being the best all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's that section, there's a lot about the ego in it. That section was really good. I feel like for someone to really grasp what this book's about, you need to read it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You need to read it.
That ego section got me. Like, it came, you know, sometimes when you're reading a book and things come at perfect timing, and you're like, okay, wow, I can use this in everyday life. Yeah. And I got an email from work. Long story short, last year I did a corporate webinar session for Black History Month with a company. The guy, you know, seemed really nice, the HR guy. And then throughout the whole year, you know, I've contacted him, you know, just for, you know, I think I've sent him like 3 emails throughout the year. He's ignored every single one of my emails, every single one. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. He's probably busy. Cool, fine. Then Black History Month's coming up again. He's like, he contacts me and says, oh, hey, it would be great to catch up on we've got Black History Month. Do you have anything going on? It would be great to catch up and hear like what you've got going on. And I thought, you know, is it Denzel or I can't remember the meme where it's like, you. I don't want to swear, you, damn right, you. And I was like, but I think I was reading, like, as I was reading the book, I thought, nah, listen, don't get in your ego, Ty, because I wanted to reply, hold on, mate, I've been contacting you all year round, and now because Black History Month's come up, you want to contact me? Like, what happened? So I didn't reply that day because I thought, you know, let me wait a day so I can compose myself a bit better and, you know, just reply without an ego. To which I did. And the funny thing of it he still hasn't replied back to that email anyway.
Sure.
But the book has helped me process that better, because I was kind of thinking, this guy, man, like, whereas now I'm just like, it is what it is.
Do you think it impacted your response?
Yeah, 100%.
So what would the response have been?
I wanted to put some one-liners in the email about him not replying throughout the year. And in my head, I felt like, when I read it, I thought, okay, cool, I'm going to put in some one-liners here just to let him know that don't take me for a mug.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessary. When I thought about, what is this going to achieve? There's no point. There's no point doing that. It's, at the end of the day, this is business. Don't let your ego get involved in it. He's not a horrible person. He's just doing his job. He don't want me for none of the other services throughout the year. He wants me for Black History Month. Cool. Like, let's go with business. Do you know what I mean? Definitely impacted my response, because in the email I took out the ego and just replied a nice positive email, which
I think
was good timing.
Still on that ego section, he actually, do you remember he differentiates between the ego and the real ego? And that was quite interesting, because I've never really, I haven't really heard anyone defend. When you hear of ego, people, it's like a negative term, really, isn't it? Like, if someone's very egotistic, it's got a big ego, X, Y, Z. It's something that has quite a negative connotation to it, right? But then in the book, he actually says the real ego is our very essence, the consciousness that makes us aware and awake to reality. So that's actually the real ego. So I've never actually heard it broken down like before. So it's like, with that whole other side of everything, it's like, okay, so that's all false. And that's kind of like the bravado put around. Yeah. Sometimes, especially if like you deal with people in, I'm not going to say fields, but different kind of backgrounds and kind of fields within like the professional world, and you can kind of just see it oozing off them. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, so it's quite interesting, when you kind of look back and think, okay, this is either it's a protection, or it's just they're trying to live up to something, or they're trying to impress something, or whatever it might be. Because it's like, that's what it was. The ego doesn't want to be better. It wants to be seen as better.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like,
I remember that quote.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, in whatever you're doing, it's that person that, and everyone, just because someone's loud doesn't necessarily mean they've got like a big ego. That's people to process things differently. But it's the little things that people do sometimes that you notice, like, okay, this person's just, or their ego's taking control of that situation, the way they responded, and so it's that part really, really got to me, like, about, because it makes you think about, you looking inwards first, and you think, okay, how does that apply to me? Because how can I keep it under control, X, Y, Z? And then you look outwards and think, okay, when you can see it kind of around other people, it's quite laughable. But I really enjoyed that part.
No, I definitely enjoyed the ego part, and it helped me. Helped me personally. And he talks a lot about positivity, which was interesting as well, especially after reading, Rethinking Positive Thinking, which didn't really touch on it. Positivity and negativity. So he talks about, surrounding yourself with positive people, it's shown to have a positive impact. And negativity, talking about, when people are negative, quite often people aren't just negative because they want to be negative. Something quite often is going on in their life that causes them to be negative. And, he puts it down to a loss of peace, a fear that bad things will happen, a loss of love or fear of not being loved, or a loss of understanding or fear of being disrespected. And I thought that was quite interesting, breaking down negativity like that and putting a reason behind why people may be negative. Because, I mean, you probably know people that are negative or, or have been negative at times. And majority of the time, things are not going great.
You know what's funny, right? I was out a few weeks ago and it was the weirdest thing. I was out and I was at a dinner and I was speaking with someone, and then they were like, what did we speak about? I don't remember how it got into it. We started talking about these kind of things, like positivity and all this kind of stuff. And they were like, do you, you know, I don't know what they asked me, but they asked me something basically like, are you interested in positivity? Basically, I can't remember when I phrased it. I was like, yeah, like, you know, and I started talking about different things like X, Y, Z. And then they just started being so negative, like about other people that don't do that. And I was just laughing to them. I was like, what? Because they were like, oh, you know, are you into, let's say, for example, they said, oh, are you into Jay Shetty? Just for example, have you read his book? And I was like, yeah. And then they started saying, yeah, like everyone that doesn't read this book is X. And started going, yeah, it started going mad deep. And I was like, that's quite interesting because it's like, sometimes people that maybe, you kind of look down on people.
Yeah.
If you believe yourself to be positive, then it doesn't give you the right to kind of look down on people that are not negative or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Because like you said, they might have things going on. Yeah. I mean, some people just have a negative disposition, man. And I think sometimes even I was somewhere else a little while ago. I was in the barbers, and then there were some people having a conversation, and one of the guys was like, he's basically launching, or he's got a business already, but he's starting a new part of the business. He's doing a new branch, and then they were like, oh yeah, I see you're doing that, and he was like, boy, let's just see what happens. But I was like, wow, this guy don't believe in what he's doing, man. Like, he's so jaded, and he's older guy, like late 40s, maybe early 50s, maybe. And it was just like, raw, man. That was quite upsetting to see, man. Because I was like, raw, like, so jaded. But so that was quite negative. His response to his own business, because it was like, boy, mate, like, it was just so. But it's like he was trying to put it down before someone else put it down. Or he was trying to. For me, I saw it's like, okay, you're trying to just lay the seeds of, oh yeah, well, he never thought it was going to happen anyway. So like, just you're trying to downplay it when really you should be. You know, you really should be gassed on what you're trying to do, man. So it was just interesting.
No, it's interesting when you have those conversations. And in the book, he talks about negativity being contagious. I think that's
the good king
true.
and the evil king.
Say that again.
The story, I can't remember the story, but I know about the good king and the evil king. Did you remember that story that he wrote?
No, I can't. No.
I'm trying to remember it. Sorry, but I thought you might remember it. I wrote a note about it.
And yeah, negativity is contagious, and we're wired to conform to group bias. So it basically, he talks about how we're sheep, or a lot of people are sheep. We follow. And the example was they hired actors to say which line was longer. So they got some lines, and they're like, which line is longer? And 75% chose the wrong answer because the group did. So the group say this line's longer, this line's shorter. The group picked this line to be longer. So 75% of people agreed with them, even though that might not have been what they actually thought. They were just following the fashion. And that just goes to show with negativity and positivity. It's like, if people around you are negative, then it's very likely that we'll conform to that and we'll follow that as well.
But then would you say you're a positive person?
I would say I'm a positive person in general.
In general. So would you say you spend your time around people that are negative? You yourself, do you spend your time with people that are negative or positive more so?
More positive.
Around yourself with. Positive. So I feel like, so I agree with you. And I think maybe like, you wouldn't, if I'm around people that are negative, I'm not going to be around them for very long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to really spend my time with them. Like, I'm not going to give them my time. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think that you kind of warm to it, and the circle, the circle that you're with. If you're, because people, if someone's negative and they find someone else like negative, oh yeah, we can just sit here and moan all day together. I mean, but then if I'm there, and I've seen it, man, like, when you've been around people and it's like, this conversation is so basic, man. Like, I just don't even say anything. Just You know what I'm saying?
So, sometimes you just don't entertain it. You don't get involved because you're like, this is not how I think. This is not what I'm involved in. Like, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes, just best to just sit there and listen and let people moan or whatever. And but at the same time, I mean, I like to think that I try and challenge, the negativity in some people and try and make it positive, which in some cases, it has a positive impact on others. In other cases, it doesn't work out. People just still stuck in their mindset. But I think Jay Shetty talks about that a lot, like being positive, forgiveness. That was another section that I quite enjoyed about forgiveness. And I think I wrote some notes on it. And he spoke about there's 4 stages of forgiveness, and I really actually enjoyed seeing this in a structure, because it was 0, there's no forgiveness. I do not forgive you no matter what. And then there was conditional forgiveness. It was, if they apologize, then I will forgive them, and only then. Then there was transform forgiveness. Transformational, sorry. I forgive you and expect nothing back, which he kind of you will kind of work towards. And then there was unconditional. I forgive you no matter what you did. And he kind of talks about, the unconditional kind of forgiveness is kind of what you have with your children. Then maybe transformational might be with your friends, etc., etc. But yeah, man, I think
what I did like, one thing I liked about this book the most.
Go on.
The use of diagrams. They were actually really good. Normally in books, diagrams and all that kind of stuff are just like, when I see them, I'm just like, they're never really good, but these ones were good. Like, that's one thing I thought, wow, the diagrams in this book are actually really good. So because that part, I think there was a diagram about that.
Yeah.
In it, and there's a few other ones as well. But I was like, you know what, the diagrams in this book are actually on point. They're not overdone. They're relevant. They don't take you look at it and you understand it straight away. You could literally just go back into the diagram and see that, and you don't even need to read the paragraph because it's literally right there where it says.
Yeah.
So that was a good bit. But there was another part early on in the book, and I think I don't remember what chapter it was or what it was about, but I guess it must have been about outlooks or the way you perceive or perceptions, or kind of the whole Buddha, the whole monk sort of philosophy of like everything will pass, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So it was a story about a farmer with his son. It was in China, I think it was. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was in China. But anyway, it was like the farmer and his son go and they look at their horses, and one of the horses has left, and then the son goes to the dad. Oh, dad, look, the horse left. And then the dad's like, well, maybe good, maybe bad. Doesn't
yeah.
Do you remember this one?
Yeah.
Then the dad goes, then the dad's like, that basically is what it is. And then the horse comes back the next day with a wild horse, with another horse. So now the son's like, Dad, look, the horse has come back and he's bought another horse. We've got another horse now for free. And now the dad's like, yeah, maybe good, maybe bad.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens, you get me? And then that's all good. Now the son's now trying to train the wild horse on how, trying to train it, trying to domesticate it. The horse kicks him off and he falls and breaks his leg. And then the son's like, oh, Dad, look, I broke my leg now. And then the dad's like, guess what? Surprise, surprise. Maybe good, maybe bad. Yeah. Then next day, there's a war going on. All the young men in the house, all the young men in the country have been called to go and fight. Obviously, the army have come to recruit the son. Knock. The son can't go because he's got a broken leg. So then the son's like, oh, that, like, he's happy to have to go to war. Which I mean, then the dad's like, yeah, maybe good, maybe bad. I was like, that was a good story because I think, and I think definitely in the short term, because I thought about the story a lot. And I think I must have told that story about 5 times to people, and I was like, but it definitely in the short term because there's a few things that have gone on, all stuff going on, and it just kind of, I was like, you know what? Let's just see how this plays out. Yeah. Literally, this very weekend, I was like, wait, let's just see how it plays out. Like leading up to this weekend, I was like, wait, let's just see how it plays out. Where normally I do kind of, because I like to kind of control what's going on as much as I can anyway. I would have been a bit more stressing out. I definitely internally anyway, I would have been stressing out about things. But that part was like, let's just see what happens. And I think you can't go too far into that because sometimes you do have to enjoy the moment and you do have to enjoy the outcomes of things. But that concept of, well, maybe good, maybe bad. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember that story now you said it, and I thought, that was good. And it's interesting as well because I think he talks about I'm just looking at his name, Brian Acton, who is the WhatsApp co-founder, and his outlook on life. And he applied for Twitter. He applied for a Twitter job back before he co-founded WhatsApp, and he never got it. And then he tweeted, I'm really thankful for the opportunity to have my interview at Twitter. It wasn't meant to be. Let's move on. And it's like, okay, he's gone for an interview. He hasn't got it. That's the job that he really wanted because he, believed in the ethos or whatever. He never got it. He went for a job interview at Facebook. Same thing again. He had the positive outlook, made a tweet or Facebook status. Yeah, okay. Really grateful for the opportunity. It didn't work out. Then he later co-founds WhatsApp, and they sell it for $19 billion. And I mean, I know not everything's about money, but in terms of his journey, do you know what I mean? He's now created some financial freedom for himself. He's failed in getting his dream job in Twitter. He's getting his dream job in Facebook, but now he's a co-founded WhatsApp, which we all know what WhatsApp is. And it's like, yeah, you get knockbacks in your journey. Like you said, maybe good, maybe bad.
Yeah. And I think that kind of ties it. Sorry, was you going to say something?
No, good.
No, I say that ties in with like resilience,
Which
we love resilience. We love talking about resilience, what I do anyway. So, and that kind of ties in with that. Like, you got to just take it on the chin and just see how it plays out. Don't catastrophize things.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, look, this book, there's too many. There's too many. Yeah. There's too many. And I think like, it was interesting as well. There was a thing that he spoke about here about they did an experiment. Was it in the biosphere too? It's like a glass enclosure for trees, where the trees would grow to a certain height, and then they would fall.
Yeah.
Because their roots aren't strong enough, because they never experienced wind. So the wind actually, strengthens the roots. So once they get too tall, because they've never had to strengthen, the tree will just fall and die. So, things like that. Those are the kind of gems or messages that are within the book. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even going on with the tree, they talked about rosewood? I think the rosewood trees in America. They're massive. They grow really high, and the way they grow so high is the roots wrap up with each other, so all the trees are all connected. It's crazy, man. It's amazing stuff. And I feel like stuff like that really, like, because that's about, we're talking about a team, talking about negativity, being around negative people, be around positive people. If you're around end of the day, people do your outlook of your group, you sit with people that kind of agree with you a lot, or you kind of have things in common or whatnot. So if you are trying to be more positive in life, or trying to achieve more in life, it could be in any way, shape or form. It's good to kind of center yourself around those people that are the same views and ideals as you, because then it will be the norm.
Yeah.
As opposed to you can inspire people around you, but sometimes you need to make sure you're being inspired as well.
Yeah, 100%. There's so much in the book, and now we're getting into it. It's reminding me of certain things and certain notes. But there was even another section on fear, and I wrote down a quote about fear, because I found this. I was like, someone better take this quote and run with it, because someone needs to hear this. Because it was, fear doesn't prevent death, it prevents life. So being scared of something, it won't prevent you from dying. It will prevent you from living to your true meaning or whatever. And I thought, yes, that is like, obviously we all experience fear at times, or most of us experience fear at times, but quotes like that are like, why am I scared? This is me living,
it's rational and irrational. But I think with you, like, things you've done in your life, see, like traveling and stuff like that would hold a lot of people would want to do that, but they'd be too scared, thinking about, what if this goes wrong, and what if that goes wrong? I'm sure you, maybe before you traveled, did you have some fears?
Yeah. I mean, when I left, to go to Australia, it was fearful initially. I mean, it was a whole new experience. I mean, I was in the airport on the way there. I was crying my eyes out, man. It's like, why am I crying? Like, what? I don't need to go. But it was.
See, but if you'd let the fear take over,
I would have gone.
Imagine what you'd have missed out on.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that year abroad, you know, was amazing. You know, learned so many life lessons. It was fantastic. And I think sometimes, yeah, we do need to let go of fear to experience things.
Do you remember in that saying talking about the fear? Do you remember the guy Alex Honnold, the first person to climb? I think he climbed the mountain in 2017. Yeah. What he said about fear. Do you remember that part?
No.
It's quite. Anyway, but it's talking about, because it's about comfort zones.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
for example, obviously when you went to Australia, you left the comfort zone, set up business, leaving comfort zone, leaving work, all that kind of stuff. So this guy, again, fact check this properly because I didn't write the clearest notes, but Alex Honnold, first person to climb a certain mountain as a free climber. So I think that's with no harnesses, basically. No, yeah, he just climbed it. So he said, when he's done it, he said, people talk about trying to suppress fear. I look at it in a different way. I try to expand my comfort zone by practicing moves over and over again. I work through the fear until it's just not scary anymore. So that's a really good outlook on how to deal with fear, because what he's doing, he's actually staying in his comfort zone by doing what scares him.
Yeah.
But again and again and again until it no longer scares him, and now his comfort zone is expanded, and now he's going to find what else is scary. Let me start doing that. So repetition, routine. That's what I'm saying. So that was that. You know, that talked. So basically, saying about to push yourself, yourself further, and then it becomes normal, and then you move again, and that's how you grow. Because otherwise, what is the point of anything?
Yeah. I think there was a quote which is not in the book, but it was like, it's not the absence of fear, it's the ability to get through it or something, because we all experience fear. It's not the absence of fear, it's the ability to be able to handle it and get through it. That's how we deal with it. You know, we all experience fear, but some people just go for it. And actually what I found, even if you haven't seen it, check out the Inspire and Be Inspired playlist. But even interviewing different people, you know, most people who have businesses or are successful, they all experience fear, but go through something they're scared to do. They challenge themselves, put themselves in that uncomfort zone, which the book talks about, dealing with fear. There was another woman as well who was, I didn't write clear notes on it, but she was fearful of quitting her job. She had no role models, but when she spoke with others who quit, who were happy, it gave her confidence. So again, it's about surrounding yourself with the right people. So it's like, she was scared to quit, but when she spoke with others, it gave her that confidence to be like, okay, wow, they've done it, I can do it. And actually, I think that's another point when we go back to my traveling experience was, before I went away, I went on a 2-week, I think it was 10 days actually, holiday to like Thailand with some friends of mine. And prior to that, you know, I was a proper London boy. I was never leaving London, you know, set in my ways. And on that trip, I met so many different people, traveling, you know, doing different things, you know, flying all about the place. And it was like, that gave me confidence. It was like, oh, wow, all these people are doing this. Anyone can do it. You know, I can do that for sure if all these people are doing it. So if there is something that you're scared to do, find someone else that's done it or doing it and take confidence from them. And the book mentions that as well. It
talks a bit about role models, isn't it?
There's so much, man. There's another bit.
There's too much, bro.
Do you remember the bit about the scorpion drowning, like the monk? Anyway, I'm gonna explain it anyway. There's a scorpion drowning, and the monk picks up the scorpion and gets stung by the scorpion, to save it from drowning. So the monk has risked getting stung to save the scorpion from drowning. And it was like, getting stung is less important than saving the drowning scorpion. To save is in my nature. And I thought, it's like, okay, the monk, his nature is to save. And he's not going to let the fact that this scorpion is going to sting him throw him out of his nature. He likes to save. He likes to, you know, do these nice things, and just because someone else has a negative response to him, it doesn't mean he's going to change him and his true values. And I thought
that's quite deep. Yeah,
that's quite deep, man. It's like, if that's who you are, don't let someone else change who you are. And yeah, I thought that was nice.
Man, it's like you said, man. I think it's a very interesting read with a lot of different messages.
Yeah.
And there was some fun facts as well that I found in here that was quite interesting. About things about multitasking and single tasking.
Yeah.
They said studies have shown that only 2% of people can multitask effectively, which makes me which made me crack up out loud when I read it, because I was like, that's funny. Because especially now, there's so many distractions, there's so much going on, multitasking, and I purposely don't multitask anymore because I'm not good at it, and I know I'm not good at it. So I'm less productive when I multitask. So, and that was just like, people say this, that, and the third about multitasking, but you can just concentrate on doing one thing very, very well, and then move on to the next thing. But that was just like an interesting thing. But also, they spoke about sleep.
Yeah.
And that was, about getting the right amount of sleep, and then your routine about how when you wake up, and interesting. What's this? You need to be in bed. 75% of HGH in our bodies is released when we sleep. So it's a human growth hormone. So things like, so the more sleep you get, the better quality of life I guess you'll have in theory. Do you know what I mean? So it's just there's a lot, and there's loads of like pointers, but those two things kind of stuck out to me. Then even like your routine when you wake up, about I don't remember how he explained it properly, but I think there was a lady, she said, when you wake up and you're overloading your brain straight away with all the dopamine and messages, and people need to be really mindful about how they wake up. He mentions about kind of going into the gratitude thing. He wakes up with gratitude, which is a good way to do it. But a lot of people, I'm sure, you wake up, especially now the way we're conditioned, you wake up, you pick up your phone immediately. It's not the right way to do things.
Yeah, he talks about that, waking up and picking your phone straight away, and then getting caught in a rat race, scrolling, replying to messages. And I think that also reinforced my my morning routine, because as you know, I sleep with my phone in the living room, so that it's not the first. Sorry, I leave my phone in the living room when I go to sleep, so that it's not the first thing that I grab when I wake up in the morning. But sometimes when I go to bed, I might be in bed and want to scroll whatever, and then just think, oh no, I'll just leave it next to me. But then in the morning, the first thing you do is grab your phone. So by leaving it in the living room has properly helped me. It's like, it just makes me feel so much fresher in the morning. The first thing I'm doing isn't grabbing my phone. I've got time to think, read my book, and then go and experience the day. And the book reinforced that for me, try not to get caught up too much in, social media, in technology, and just breathe. And that comes on to the gratitude, which I want to dive into this section. I can't even remember if I wrote many notes on it, but the gratitude section for me, oh man, that hit my soul. It hit my soul, because it brought me back to times in my life where it's like, I've been so grateful for certain things. And I remember when I first moved into my flat. So prior to moving into my flat, I lived with my dad for a couple of years, and I slept on a sofa. I didn't have a bedroom, and I still had somewhere to live. But I could have had a nicer, I could have my own room. Anyway, when I moved out, when the business was doing well enough to pay rent, when I got my double bed, listen, for about a month, this is not even exaggeration, for about a month, every day I woke up and I was like, just stretching out going from a sofa to a bed, and not even just going from the sofa to a bed, going from a sofa to a house where I now have a bedroom of my own. I can just go in my bedroom and chill if I want, Whereas, you know, my dad's house was a 1-bedroom flat. I'm either like, do you know what I mean? It was just cramped, 2 grown men.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very grateful for that as well, because
Yeah.
you know, I was fortunate enough to have somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
But that gratitude section reminded me of that, and it was like, rah, do you know what? I need to remember that I'm actually really lucky to have a bed, because there was a time when I didn't have a bed, and and I've got one now, and there are so many people out there who don't even have a home. You know, they don't have fresh water, and it just made me really grateful. And even up till now, from reading the book, I'm still doing my best to remember to be grateful.
Do you keep a gratitude journal?
I don't keep a gratitude journal, but do you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna buy one today.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you'd benefit. Like, I have one. I don't use it. I don't do it every day. I try to do it every day.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine told me about his, and then when he said journal, with him, he just literally makes notes on his phone.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, tell me about it. But that's the thing, is that maybe overcomplicate things sometimes. He goes, I just make every morning. He just wakes up and writes 5 things that he's grateful for.
Yeah.
And I was like, but then I said, you know, then this thing is about doing it mindfully, because I said to him, I said, like, because I've tried in the past, I've tried to be grateful, do practice gratitude, but when I was speaking with him, he kind of said to me, no, you've got a deep, like, these weren't his words, but he was like, no, he really sits on that thought.
Yeah.
You got a heart. And then I was like, wow, because there's one time I think I wrote, I was like, oh, you know, I'm grateful that like my parents are still alive. And then I thought, no, let me think about if my parents, like, if I got a phone call today. Do you know what I'm saying? You got to really sit on it and think, and then you feel even more grateful. It's like, oh, then you actually experience it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, and little things, man. Then and like even he says in the book, and I realized when I started doing it, as the day's going on, I'm thinking, rah, what am I gonna write tomorrow? So you start thinking like, what, you know, your mind. So you start looking for things to be to feel grateful for. Yeah. So I'm saying, so it's like you start looking like, boy, that the person who gave me that customer service in that shop was so nice. Like, oh, I'm grateful for good customer service, or boy, we've got clean. Whatever it is, you start thinking because you want stuff to. So I started just thinking like, wow, like I'm so grateful I get to go walk to the gym, or it could like, anyways,
it could be anything. Like you've got legs. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
grateful for my legs.
You see? So anyway, so the gratitude part really, you know, and then he goes into it a lot about how he how he wakes up, and I think he rolls on his stomach and he makes, basically it's a prayer. He doesn't call it a prayer, but you know, I'll translate it as a prayer. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's important, I think, man, because like you said, we're just so lucky to even to be able to have this conversation that we're having now. Yeah. And again, look at this, going back to your interview you did with your inspired to be inspired, the most recent interview that you've done. Yeah. And the guy was talking about, he basically, well, he had Uber before Uber was around. In a sense, you know, I'm saying it wrong, but he had the idea or something. The idea. Yeah. But the technology wasn't up to scratch. So for us being in this era now where we're able to create things and do things, and the technology is up to speed with us, like that's something to be grateful for. It's there if you look for it. You know what it is, there's a positive in every situation and there's a negative in every situation, and it just depends where your focus is. You know what I'm saying? So the gratitude part was big. Do
you know what? I want to give the viewers a gem with that, because you know some people find it hard to get out of that negative mindset and find it hard to find the positives, and this may help someone, hopefully it does. But there was a part in the book that was like, okay, I have to write this down. But the book talks about salt in a cup. So I can't remember who it was, but someone gives a guy a glass of water and tells them to put salt in it and drink it. They drink it and it's like, this is disgusting. Then they take them to the lake where there's fresh water flowing. They're like, all right, cool. Put salt in the water and then scoop up the water and drink it. How was that? And they're like, oh, it's so refreshing. And it was kind of like, if you have your mind, if you're narrow-minded and you're only thinking about the salt in just a cup, it's going to be nasty. You're going to have negative emotions. You're going to have negative thoughts. But if you expand your mind to think of, okay, what are the other possibilities out of this situation? You can have a positive experience still. You don't need to think, okay, you don't need to think so linear. Okay, this happened, therefore
yeah.
bad. You can think, okay, this happened. Okay, maybe this opportunity can come from it. Maybe that opportunity can come from it. But using that example, I thought, yeah, that's good.
Listen, man, maybe good, maybe bad, isn't it? I'm saying, it's like you need to. There's too much in this book, yeah. There's too much. There's about relationships. There's about trust. There's a lot. So I'll just recommend people to read the book. That's the best way I can say it to you. Because you know, it's how can I say this? It's like, it's just a good book. It's a book that you can just read and just enjoy, and it will make you feel good as well, which is important. And you know what's funny, because I don't always do this, but I think I've realized my pattern now, so I'm gonna have to break it. But when I'm enjoying a book, I share the book on my social media, but I don't say anything about it. I just share it. Like I just put a picture of the book or whatever. And when I've done like this, inbox again flooded. And that's only happened with maybe one or two other books. But then I've just I noticed, I was like, oh, okay, I can't compare this to other books that I didn't like because no one really, you know, I didn't put it out there for people to know. So I might do that more often. But you know, I'm grateful that we got to read this book. Put it that way.
Yeah, look at that gratitude there, using it in.
Gratitude is a must.
Go on, sing it again for them.
I don't know the rest of the words.
The last thing I want to talk about is the monks in terms of service. Their role is serve others. So the monks' conversation when they meet at the canteen or whatever is like, how did you serve others today? What did you do that empowered someone else today? And it, you know, the gift of giving is so powerful. And the monks kind of live by that ethos, you know. How did you serve someone else today? What did you do to impact someone else's life today? Rather than chatting about football or whatever it is, they're talking about, how they served others today. And I thought, that is just a nice reminder, because it's so nice to give. Yeah, it's so nice to give.
Yeah. But it's the environment, isn't it? It's the environment that they're in.
Yeah.
That's why. And I feel like he actually made an example of that, where it kind of gets where some people, you know, like, because that competitive side of that egotistical side, where people were like trying to, I think he did mention something like that as well, where like, people were trying to overplay it, or you know, well, you done that, well, you helped 2 people, I helped 200 people, how about that? Or, you done this, I done that.
I think that came to the ego section, where it was like, okay, I think these were trainee monks, and it was like, okay, you helped 2, I helped 200, or that wasn't an exact example, but it was kind of
you meditated for an hour, I meditated for 10 hours.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're comparing and competing, you've missed the point.
Yeah.
Like, the point isn't that we're competing with each other. The point is that we're just serving others, you know, whether today we might serve 1 person, tomorrow we might serve 100 people, but we're doing something that has a positive impact in the world. And that was good. All right, what's the time? Yeah, cool. Let's move on to our difficulty rating. Who went first? Can you remember?
No. I'll go first. Go first. I feel like I don't remember, but I'll go first. You can check. Difficulty. This book wasn't difficult at all to read. I read it very quickly. 1. Yeah, man. I don't know if this book wasn't hard to read at all. The 1, good. It had good diagrams as well, which I really enjoyed. It was a good book. 1.
Yeah. Again, for me, this book was quite an easy read. It was very well structured, lots of paragraphs, lots of breaks. If this is your first book reading, if you're going to read this as your first book, it will be an easy read. It's quite long though. That's the only thing. It's quite long. Yeah. But I'd give it a 2. Yeah, it wasn't.
Did it feel long to you?
It didn't feel long. No, it didn't feel long. But when I looked at how many pages I had left, and in terms of the end of the month, I'm like, oh, I need to read faster. I need to read some extra hours. So it took me a while to read it, but I read slow anyway. And I like to, I kind of read it as if someone's talking to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, cool. And the star rating, what are you going for with a star rating out for this book?
I just realized I did go first last month.
All right,
I
I'll
remember
go
I did
first
my
now.
stuff for you. Yeah, you go.
I'll go first for the star rating. Star rating, I think for me, like I said, it was a lovely book. The one thing that I didn't necessarily like about this book, I don't want to say I didn't like it, is that I don't feel like I've got a one thing that I'm taking away from the book and be like, yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay.
Like where I said with the whoop, with resulting, with never split the difference. There's certain things where it's like, okay, cool. I'm actually going to use that in everyday life. And I wasn't, I guess, one thing. In fact, but now after this conversation, it's made me order the gratitude book. So actually, that's one thing that I'm going to take from it. So I'm reversing what I'm saying. But having said all of that, I'm going to give it a 4 because this was a good book, man. This was a lovely read and it was really nice. Yeah, like I said, just lovely, man.
I think myself, solid 4.5. It's a good book. It's a good book, man. And I feel like even like, obviously I'm engaged and there's some stuff about, it's called Keeping the Love Alive. And I'm like, yeah, there's some gems in there. If you're in a relationship, you like, I'm thinking about Missy's gonna watch this because I don't want her to know that I'm doing it from the book. I'll give you one. Yeah. Basically, it's like making the norm. I've put my notes down now, but when you're doing the normal but making it unpredictable, so reinventing the normal. So he's like, go on a walk. So say you go out on a walk with your missus, like recently, say like, all right, we're gonna try and spot something new on this walk, like, or try and I think he'd go on the same walk and try and find a different stone or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that bit, right?
Yeah.
So there's a few other ones. You get that one for free. You got to read the book for the rest. But yeah, man. No, I thought this is a good book, man. There's a lot in it. There's a lot about it, man. So yeah, I'll give it a 4.5.
Yeah. Wicked. Go on.
No, I was gonna say, and I'm thinking like, you were saying about taking something away.
Yeah.
That may be good, maybe bad. Kind of thing is definitely. There's something I must keep with me.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot, man. It's a good book. I'm gonna read it again as well. I'm gonna make an effort to read books like more than once, and this is gonna be one of the books that I'm gonna read more than once.
Yeah. Cool. So you can order this book via the link in the description box. I'll put a link in the description box. But also next month's book, if you want to join us on this 1 book a month challenge, please do join us. We've got actually quite a long one, but this is Chris's choice. David Goggins. The
guy. Trust me, T. The guy. Goggins. Come on, the guy, bro.
So yeah, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is our book for the next month, and it's about 350 pages, something like that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. I can give it my rating now. I'm joking. I get excited. But it don't matter how thick it is. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, cool. So remember, support the ting, and we'll catch you in the next book review.
Yes, support the ting.